taken by this feeling, baby, we're invincible.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Rebuilding Notts County Looking Forward, episode 3. So, got a lot of players to talk about today, of course, but first we're going to do the Champions League and Europa League, so we can just sort of see what happened in those, because I think that's kind of important. So as you can see, we won our first ever Europa League, as if, but oh my god, Liverpool and Real Madrid sure as hell got their revenge, didn't they, Jesus? So we beat Atletico in the final. Obviously, Liverpool then beat Arsenal in the final the following year in the San Siro, but then, to make matters worse, the following season after that, we lost to Liverpool in the final. Then Real beat Atletico. Arsenal then came out of nowhere and won it. We then beat Napoli to win our second Champions League, and then Liverpool came back for another crack at it. We were then beaten in another final by Manchester City this time, who must have really rejuvenated themselves because they were crap for the longest time. But then we won another one, beating Barcelona, and it seems that that is the last time we featured anywhere near the top of this, and you'll understand why when we look at the Notts County history in a little bit. But that won't be in this episode. Liverpool won another one. West Ham won a Champions League. So that's happened. Interesting to see how that ended up happening. That will be a very strange one. Let's check Europa League as well, so we can see how things went. I don't think Notts County ever won a Europa League or even played in it that much, it would really seem. So, I mean, you can see who won it for the entirety of the save, really. Eintracht Frankfurt winning it in the first season is very surprising. So there you go. Napoli won it. Sporting won it over Spurs, so that's quite surprising. Ajax managed to pick up a win there. Crystal Palace came second. Southampton, of course, won it. Everton, we know already won it. It was that weird spell where a lot of sort of smaller Premier League sides were able to win it. Didn't really seem to happen for most of the rest of the save, though. Did West Ham... They also beat Brentford in the final. I've got to check this. Did West Ham... No, they didn't. I thought West Ham might have won the Europa League, got into the Champions League, and then won that as well. Didn't work like that. But to beat Brentford in the Europa League final... And I think we had some former players in that as well. Leeds also in there too. Shakhtar getting to a final. Monaco winning one. It's not all just English sides. There's some very... Valencia winning it too. What about the Conference League? This is going to be interesting. I assume there'll be a ton of English sides winning this one. So Wolves, Sociedad. Wow, Slavia also managed to win it. Hoffenheim, Everton, of course. Saint-Etienne. Manchester City, of course. Lokomotiv Moscow. Malmö grabbed themselves a couple of it. FC Nordsjælland won the Europa Conference League. Brentford also won it. Schalke, Leeds, Fiorentina, Chelsea, of course, Zenit. I mean, look at this. Cracovia coming second in it too. Nordsjælland came runner-up as well. Partizan. Like, this is Zurich, Cagliari, Osijek. Like, it's just dope to see these teams actually competing for things at the highest level. That to me is awesome. So that is how the other sort of big European competitions have gone over this period. And now it's time to get into everybody's favourite part, the actual players. We're going to start with Radoslav Mijic, who actually did retire at the age of 34. He played for, Reading was the main jam for him. He was not quite good enough for us, but when he joined Reading for 1.2 million, the guy made 330 appearances for them. That is a lot, because he was only there 9 years. So he was basically playing 40-odd games a season, it would seem, every single year. Then joined Blackburn and didn't quite have the same effect before going to FK India back in Serbia. I mean, look, at Reading, it was 35 games a season plus for most years. And in fact, he got to 44 at times. Like, he was clearly a very solid player for them, which is why Blackburn decided to spend big money on him, and big money for them, I expect, and just didn't really do the trick. But there you go, Radoslav Mijic. Next up is Vitalius Paulauskas. It's Vitamin P, or Paul, as a lot of you guys affectionately know him as. 125 caps for Lithuania. No surprises there. The guy started his career at Hied over in Norway. Obviously then signed for us for not a lot of money, I don't think. It was pretty minimal. In fact, did he even cost us anything in his career? I'm not even entirely sure he did. Yeah, joined Watford for 2.5 million. And the weird thing about this is he barely ever played for Watford. But every time we played against Watford, he played against us in that period. And that was a long time. Most of these appearances, admittedly in the Cups a lot of the time where we drew Watford, he was always the bastard goalkeeper. It's really weird. Then eventually he left to join Columbus. I mean, the fact that he only made 9 appearances for Watford over that entire period is crazy. I guess he was their Cup goalkeeper or something, but hey, the guy still had a solid career and got 125 caps for his country, so you can't really sniff at that. Next up, Nikolai Neil. Here he is, 2 caps for Denmark in the end. I don't know if he got those when he was playing for us. I guess we can have a look here. That would have been when he was playing for Notts County, just barely. And that was against Andorra as well. But then he went to Feyenoord. Don't think it cost him a great deal of money. £6.5 million. No, that's not true. I think he was released, actually. Didn't really win a lot when he was at Feyenoord. Probably won some Dutch leagues, I've got to say. But you'll never really know on that one, I suppose. Still, he did okay. Like, 180, not a lot of appearances in his entire career, to be honest. But he's done all right, I guess. Next up is Esto Susanoo. Remember him? He retired at the age of 38. Hang on, sorry, I'm just looking at the team he finished his career at. That is one of the weirdest sounding team names I've ever heard. 38 is very, very old for a winger on this game, I've got to be honest. And it's crazy how much of a career he had after he left us. Didn't really even play for us that much. He was a solid player for us when he did play, to be fair. But he went to go back to Uruguay for a bit to CA Talk. Or that might have been on loan, actually. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was on loan. Then he left and joined Wellington Phoenix, as a lot of players did in this save. But then came back to England to play for Blackburn. And he actually played there for quite some time. And then joined Birmingham on a permanent transfer, but just barely played for them, before finally going back to Uruguay to play for Villa Teresa. And then Canadian Soccer Club. Okay. It's definitely a name. I'm interested in that. Anyone knows anything about Canadian Soccer Club? I assume it's basically some Canadians founded a soccer club, and then this guy played for them. That seems to be how it goes, doesn't it? Then we've got Ayman Louati. A lot of players have managed to make those 120 sort of plus appearances for their country kind of range. Obviously, we sold him to Southampton, or he might have been on a free transfer, although I actually can't even bloody remember. Won the African Cup of Nations, though. Weird that it doesn't say, actually. It means it must have been a free transfer, although that really does surprise me somewhat. Went to Leipzig for a bit, sort of really found himself while playing for El Nasir, but I already knew that because that was during our save, and I got like notifications about him moving. So I think we got some kind of solidarity payments or something out of it. So yeah, 4.5 million is how much it cost them. Won the AFC Champions League the very same year that we won the actual Champions League. Came back to Europe, but just could not quite hack it. But he won an absolute buttload of stuff with Tunisia. So I guess he's got a lot to be proud of in his career, just not quite the things that perhaps he would be hoping for on sort of a club basis. Next up, Everton Luis. Okay, so this guy, once again, it seems like a solid deal. 91 caps for Brazil this guy got. I mean, we never saw anything of him because he signed for us very, very late and was always sort of down the pecking order. Cost £15 million. Played 61 times for us, so he did still last sort of 7 years at the club and 4 years after I left, but he just wasn't getting the game time, it would seem. Went out loan to Porto for a little bit. Won the Premier League 3 times in a row. So the guy still did some good shit. Went to Bayern Munich for £65 million. That's usually where it goes. Let me guess, Liverpool overpaid. Yes, they did. £83 million for them. But he did also win the Premier League with them, a Super Cup, an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup. The guy's had a really solid career with not just Bayern, but Notts County too. And he probably won the Bundesliga with Bayern too, but obviously because we don't have it turned on, we don't know for sure. But let's face it, it's pretty likely that that's the case. The guy's a very, very talented player. Probably the most caps for a player we've had for Brazil in this save. So it's always hard to tell with the players that are coming through. You're like, are they going to be good? Are they not? Well, now we know that he is probably quite a decent player. And here is Hugo Fernandez. He did eventually get 15 caps for Portugal. He just wasn't quite good enough, it would seem. But was good enough to move to Manchester United. Weirdly. So that's good. Did he get loaned back to us or something in that period? It says like 35 here, but then he joined Manchester United in 34. Or is this just one of the weird glitches of this menu? It seems to always be a bit funny. So yeah, Notts County, he left in the summer, it would seem then. In fact, we can see this. Joined Manchester United in August. He scored 1 goal. Did win the Europa League with them, in fairness. But for £29 million, joined West Ham for £15 million. And he kind of just wound his career down after that. He didn't really play a great deal after he left us. And I guess that's his own fault, really. Won a decent number of things, though. He won a Champions League, a Europa League, Carabao Cup, Premier Leagues, 4 of them. It's not a bad career. Perhaps it could have been better, though. Maybe he should have just stayed at Notts County, but I don't know if the new manager would have played him that much, to be honest. Okay, so for some reason, Elias Maluleki isn't in this database either, which is weird. I thought I'd tick them all. There's a few sort of really obscure ones that have kind of slipped through the net. Next up, though, Arthur Silva. 147 caps for Portugal and retired at the age of 37. This man had a freaking career. Moreover than that, he stayed at Notts County for 12 years after I left. What is it about Portuguese fullbacks and loyalty to the club that I manage? Seriously, do you remember Andre Cunha at B67? A guy I always thought was going to leave instantly and then finished his bloody career at B67 after he did the looking forward. So this guy's won at everything. I mean, eventually he joined Chelsea for £25 million, but like the fact is, he'd already basically had most of his career at that point. Like, he retired at the age of 37 and 51. So he joined Chelsea at the age of 32. He was just sort of past his peak at that point. 414 appearances for Notts County. This guy very much was one of the most long-standing players at Notts County, it would seem, after this. I love that he had that kind of loyalty, you know? I mean, the guy just won absolutely everything with County. Just Champions Leagues. Insane amounts of Champions Leagues. Like, it's brilliant. He won the Nations League with Portugal. Even won, he had 2 FA Cup runner-ups spots with Chelsea as well. Now, that is a career. Fair play to him. Real, like, longevity with the club that he was actually at the end of the day. That's what I like to see. Next up, Ricky Griffis. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So we already knew that he was at Bolton for a while, but those were all on loan. Eventually, he joined Philadelphia Union and he actually went to the States for 5 years, played 177 games for them, really put in a shift. And to be fair, his goal record was very similar to that which it was at us. His best goal return was when he was at Bolton. I think he actually won Bolton the Premier League. Not won them the Premier League. I think he actually was part of a team that got Bolton promoted to the Premier League and eventually came back to Wales, finish off his career at the New Saints, which is kind of nice. He got 4 caps for Wales in the end. There's a lot of love for Ricky around the comment section normally, and I don't think that should go away at all because he's had a really solid career with a few clubs. He gave us 8 years, he gave Bolton 4 years on loan, 5 years at Philadelphia, and then 3 years over in Wales, back in his home country, probably just to sort of chill for a bit, finish off his career in the way that he wants to, you know? So, next up is Fjortof Lurvik. Retired at 35. Did in fact get 2 caps for Norway in the end. That might have been when he was playing for us, though. I don't know, I'm confused now. Oh, there we go. Made his Norway debut against Slovenia. Yes, I think he was probably with us. No, that was actually when he was at Rothenburg. Then he went to Molde for ages, back to his original club, and finished off his career at Strømsgodset. So, you know, played an okay number of games. 2 games for Norway. That's fine. Let's move on to Stephen Walker, who ended up with 45 caps for Scotland in the end. Retired at the age of 34. This one I did not see coming. He seemed like he was an okay defender. And he was all right. But the fact that he left us for 875k and then went on to play 270 times for Rangers over the next 11 years. I mean, that's pretty dope. There's no doubt he's won stuff when he was at Rangers in that period. And 45 caps for Scotland is nothing to be sniffed at. The guy was clearly playing for Scotland for a while. One of those ones that I thought Niall McPhee would be the one that would have that kind of record. But in fact, it's very much Stephen Walker who is the man for the job, it would seem. So that's fine. Next up, though, this is big now. It's Remy Du Bois. I reckon he's going to stay. Yes, sort of. 122 caps for France. Look at this. 41 competition victories in his career. Nevertheless, though, 441 appearances for Notts County. That is where it's at. Like, undeniable. That's the most appearances for any player on this save for Notts County. It has to be. Retired at 37. Still managed to find time to play 63 games for Wolves at the end of his career. Presumably on a free transfer. But by that point, he was 35. So the fact is, the guy played for Notts County for 15 years. Remember, we paid £1.2 million for this guy. 1.1 apparently. And he's probably one of the greatest players of Notts County's history. Been named European Champions Cup midfielder of the season, 3rd place on 2 occasions. So he's definitely been up there. Nearly 600 appearances in his career as well is very, very high indeed. I don't know how many games he would have played after I left, but like 30, 32. Not 30, I'm just saying numbers now. 28. All the way up until he left, he was still playing a reasonable amount of numbers for us every single year. What an absolute legend. Remy Du Bois has got to be up there. I think it's going to be hard pushed for anyone to exceed 441 games for us. If there was anyone that was going to do it, it would have been Marvin Suarez, and the bastard buggered off. So I think Remy Du Bois might have this sewn up already, to be honest. Next up, Juan Carlos Aguilar, who I could have sworn was Brazilian, but it turns out he has decided to be Peruvian. That I'm fairly certain he was definitely Brazilian. Born in Pisco. That might be in Peru, actually. Maybe I'm just making that up. I don't know. End of the day, he was with us for a little while, and presumably, I don't know, so we must have signed a new goalkeeper or something, because he seemed to really find his feet when he was at Bayern Munich. £65 million was the deal to go to Bayern Munich after leaving to go to Schalke, which means we actually made a loss on him. So that's a little bit on the sad side. But 140 caps for Peru, what a god. I want to see who they replaced Marvin Suarez with, because this guy clearly did not do it for us. He was clearly here for a while, but he definitely wasn't playing enough league games for that to be a thing, you know? Then we have Bratislav Pavlovic, who played for a lot of teams after he left us, like a lot of teams. That's actually crazy. So where did he actually go? I think a lot of these were loan spells, but then finally joined Scunthorpe. 128 games for the club. That's pretty damn good. Went on loan to Red Star, I think, then didn't actually play for them. Then went to Sunderland for a bit and actually did play. He seemed to do his best work when he was actually just playing in England. Eventually went back to Čukarički and finished off at Vojvodina. This guy has played for a lot of different Serbian sides. He's played for Radnički, Čukarički, Proletar Novi Sad, Radnički again, Red Star, Čukarički again, and then Vojvodina right at the end. So the guy, he got about a little bit, but never quite got himself a Serbia cap, unfortunately. Now, Robbie Burton. Retired at the age of 34. He did end up making 23 caps for Wales. What a weird career. Like, we sold him to Burnley for just crazy money. I could not believe that they gave us that money for him, but they did. And then somehow they managed to move him on to Galatasaray, it would seem. He was on loan at Caen in that period, but £6 million to Galatasaray. And then, just out of nowhere, he joins Hapoel Be'er-Sheva over in Israel and makes 100 appearances and scores 10 goals in the Israeli league. a very interesting end of his career. That's the first time we've seen that happen. But hey, the guy clearly had probably some of the best times of his career over there, really. Other than when he was at Notts County. Probably won some good stuff when he was in Israel, to be fair to him. Next up, Joram Becker. He's not a manager, it would seem. How did he do? 37, 149 appearances for bastard. He moved to Real Madrid in the same freaking summer that we left. What is with this team? How did we manage to win the Premier League the following year with none of the bloody players still around? It actually starting to baffle me, to be honest. 150 caps, basically, for Belgium. 25 goals in there. How much did we... £100 million. I mean, at least we made some money on the deal, but Christ... Just have some loyalty, man. And then move to Manchester City for £110 million. To be fair, he did play for City for 11 years, but it's still gobsmacking that he would do that because they weren't that great at the time, to be fair. Won a couple of Champions Leagues. He won bloody everything, really. And lots of personal records, too. FIFA Man's Best Player, runner-up on 2 occasions. Player of the Season, runner-up. European Championship Midfielder of the Season. He actually won that. And Club World Cup Best Player. So he's got some individual accolades. Okay, that's cool. That's cool AF. Mads Sivertsen didn't even play for us for very long. Like, if at all, really. Made 8 appearances for us 1 year. Went on loan, went to Stoke for free. Played a decent amount. Moved over to Denmark to FC Copenhagen. And, did pretty damn well for them before moving to Hanover to finish off his career. But that's not the fun part. The fun part is that after that, he went to be a scout at Portugal. Portsmouth. Then was picked up by Cardiff. And then Notts County. He's actually come back to the club. He's the first player that's actually come back to the club by his own accord. And it's Mads Sivertsen of all people. So to join like Baldwin, we've got Ringabuti, those kind of players. It's cool. And he's been there for 8 years now. So that's really cool. What are his actual attributes as a scout? That's kind of important. He's aight. He's okay. But 47 years old, did get 3 caps for Denmark and a goal in the end. But it's just cool to see a player come back to the club and be a scout. And he's been there for 8 years now, finding the best players in the world for us. Then we've got Tininho, the centre-back of dreams who... oh no, that was later. No, that wasn't later. It was the summer after. He cost us £40 million as well. That's way too much money. I feel like we massively overpaid there. And considering that it doesn't even tell us how much he joined Real Madrid for, which is a little bit more worrying. Won the Champions League with them, of course. Joined Bournemouth for a little bit on loan from Real Madrid. And eventually went to Dinamo Zagreb, really weirdly, for 21 million quid. And then went back to Brazil. Yeah, that was a bit of a waste of money, really. Once again, no loyalty. Left us in 35. At least he stayed for 1 season, I guess. He did win the UEFA Super Cup with us, I suppose. But, goodness me. I wonder what the squad looked like the following season. It seems like it would have been absolutely decimated. Who the hell came in? Mourinho? Last for the episode, Dusan Sikanic, a nice straightforward one. Came in from, Čukarički in the end, or was that on loan? No, that was on loan. Yeah, he came from Partizan. Went back out to Vojvodina and did pretty damn well there, really. Like, that was where he really seemed to find his feet. He wasn't good enough for what we wanted. Maybe if we were in the Championship and he'd stuck around, he could have played for some sort of team like that. Eventually joined a team with a very interesting logo, Radnik Sodulika. Yeah, kind of interesting there. So that will finish things off for today. Next episode, though, right, there's a lot of green for the next one. An insane amount of green. So to give you an idea, we've got Greg Campbell in there, Acevedo, Uranis, Augustin de los Santos, VKB, Runa Turgerson, Mateus Cabral, Bonanno, Ron Coates is all in there. Gael Perrier. Lots of options coming up for that. For some reason, there's way more green than anyone else in the last episode, with the likes of John Carlos, James Unger, Nelson Guerra. All of those guys are in the final episode. So there you go. So if you've enjoyed this one, do drop a like on it. That would be fantastic. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That would be awesome as well. If you want to follow over on Twitch, do that. I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. and sometimes on the weekends too. Lots of cool stuff going on Twitch this week anyway because of the Streamer Showdown. So I will see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. As always, hold your gun, capybara.